Yo, yo, yo.
Hey, Beatrice.
How's it going? I can't believe episode 10 already.
10 of 10. Collect all 10. We're there. This is
Pokemon.
this is our season or series, as people in other parts of the world call it.
I, and you know what? Like I'm loving ending on this almost futuristic high
For
that
sure.
we're talking about.
Yeah, well, we're living in the future. We forget to take a step back and appreciate it, and see it for what it is. But we've got robots vacuuming our houses now. We've got, we talk to each other in real time across the world on these things. We're supposed to have flying cars by now, right? That was the promise of the future.
Jetsons
Hmm.
was the prediction. It wasn't actually cartoons. We were like, okay, this is what it's gonna be. So where are the flying cars?
Yeah, I mean, they talk to each other on TVs, on screens in real time, and we were like, "Whoa, that'll never happen." And then, of course, like one by one, these technology. We don't have the folding into a briefcase car either, but I can live without that. You remember that from the intro, but the Jetsons. But we flying cars. Where are they? Are we there yet? We're not, but we have
But
driverless
today's
cars.
episode,
Yeah.
the where we're on the same page in terms of robotic cars. Have you ever actually been in one?
I've not. I was in Las Vegas recently, and they're launching, not the company we're talking about today, but another company is launching driverless cars up and down the strip. I had the app, I tried to catch them, and it always said, "We're not in service right now. We'll come back. Yeah, we're trying." So I don't know how that's going, but I've been in LA quite a bit, and you see them just in the traffic with everything else. You see robo taxis going up and down, and it's a little like a Cybertruck. Like your brain doesn't quite compute it. Um, but you see them enough times, and you get used to the concept of them. But no, I've not
Mm.
ridden in one yet. Have you?
No, no, I haven't even seen a driverless car
Yeah.
here. Maybe it's like this part of the world, they're like still like, very traditional or again, markets, right?
Hmm.
And again, this is like leaning into today's piece of news. Do you wanna
Yeah, so Waymo, that's what we're talking about today, has the
Mhm.
the pedal to the metal, let's say, in terms of market expansion. They've done more than test markets. Like I said, LA, they're pretty ubiquitous. You see them side by side with driver full cars. Uh, and they want to go and do this for real and get into other cities. And they've got Google money behind them. They're not the only ones. Like there's going to be competition for autonomous vehicles. Apple at one point was in the running and decided, no, we're not going to do that. So it takes a big investment to carve out a category and to build consumer trust. And like online banking back in the day, you had to educate and say, no, it's safe to put your bank
Mhm.
details online. This is again training markets in the middle of the country to say, no, no, it's okay. You can get into a car that no one's driving. We'll take care of you. That's a paradigm shift. You have to get your head around that. So does it work in a tech adoption city like LA and San Francisco, and an entertainment capital like Las Vegas? Yeah, it's a natural fit. If they go to secondary cities and mid markets, um, is it a
And that's
natural fit? I don't know. Like there could be some pushback there.
and that's the latest news, right? They're looking to expand to 3, 4 more markets, which aren't these kinds of cities which you necessarily expect this, you know, the latest kinds of taxis, etc. So
Exactly. Yeah.
it's going to be interesting, and I'm curious to see how much research that they've done because same it's the same as going international for a company
Hmm.
or you know going to another state or even another city. The way of thinking, the culture, the you know certain kinds of cultures even between cities are going to vary in
Right.
opinions.
Right.
Maybe you're not going to be having like you're not going to be speaking to the same generation even because that same generation in, say, for example, San Francisco, in Florida, it's they're not going to be interested in that.
For sure. And if you're after business commuters or a certain mindset, you're not going to
Yeah,
see, it's not uniform from one city to the next. So but they are, this launched, from my understanding, from a Stanford project, Stanford University, 2005 to 2007, thereabouts. I worked with Stanford engineers around that same time on a parallel automotive project. So this is kind of interesting to see that this is coming into play now. Because what I did has been around for quite a while now.
yeah.
But 2005, let's say, was the germination of all this. They're taking their time to put it on the road. So have they done studies? I would expect so, right? Um, have they done studies of the technology and all those things? I would think so, and passenger comfort and safety. But when it gets down to it, two taxis pull up, one's got a driver, one doesn't. Have they done enough to build preference? Um, Besides the novelty of it, I'll do it once, okay, give me a person again. Have they done enough to carve out the mentality, change the mentality where we're
Mm.
all gonna just get used to cars that have no driver, and that's just what we do.
It's definitely going to need a different set of marketing for
Mhm.
each of those cities, like tailored to what, let's say, for example, if it is business travelers, etc., what would the local business travelers, what are their thoughts?
Right.
What's relevant to them? And I'm glad that they're testing it out on other cities in the US, right? Like rather than jumping, okay, yeah, now that we're going to be covering the US, let's look at a different country because again, you're looking at different languages, ways that things can be miscommunicated.
Mhm.
Hell, like even with the technology itself, there was the recent news when AWS went down.
Right.
There was a bedding company that was attached to it, and the heating and all the remote control around it
Mhm.
it's all remote. So when it went down, so did that. So you couldn't change the temperature, and the max temperature was 110.
Right.
So imagine you
That's a good question.
while
Yeah.
AWS is
Good
down.
point. Yeah, even if they have, we got a question, we'll go back to that in 1 second, but even if they have 99.99% uptime,
Mm,
with the underlying software system that manages the entire grid and infrastructure, there's still those outlier cases. And I'm not saying this would ever happen, but what if, their software had a blip and everything stopped, all the robotaxis stopped in their place and, for an hour, and that's a statistical blip. But meanwhile, cars are on the road. This is happening in real world scenario conditions. So smart companies, really smart people, I'm sure they've accounted for those types of situations. But we've seen it in LA, we've seen it in more than test markets, more than
mhm.
pilots, but we haven't seen it in outlying cases, and we haven't seen it in natural disaster conditions. And you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of unprovenness still.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, of course, the most important thing is having that human element, even though the focus on the car or the experience itself
Yeah.
is to be robotic, right? Like there should be that human element where if something does drop or go down, or like there is a concern, that
Hmm.
people can speak to a human.
Yeah. We got a question from Andrew. Have you seen the delivery robots that deliver groceries like this?
Mm,
Yes. Also in LA, you see them kind of trundling down the street and delivering someone's Panera order. Um, yeah, it's another thing where it's a reminder that this is the future. And is it the standard? It's still, I guess, people use it. I could see LA, New York, very congested cities where going a few blocks is nearly
mhm.
impossible. They're kind of just either they blend in with the scenery or kind of a nuisance if you're trying to get where you're going. Um, but they have a place. it's still one of those things that you try to wrap your head around. If you use it all the time and you're 100% bought in, then it's second nature. If you're just seeing it pass by, it's still kind of a novelty. So is that going to have the same kind of widespread acceptance that we're talking about if they put it into a more rural area for deliveries that are harder to
Yeah.
reach? Like, are people going to say, "Great, thanks for bringing us a robot," or is it just going to be some kind of culture clash there?
I mean, that's the thing. And, I think this is the perfect opportunity to see how this applies to small, medium-sized businesses, service-based businesses, etc. What they should consider, say, for example, from a brand standpoint and from a marketing standpoint, when you are shifting to other markets. So, like, in terms of the brand, there's 7 areas that I tend to look at, and one are like the communication preferences. So again, what does that look like in the next area or the other area that you're going to? The culture, religion. We don't want to touch it, but some things may be offensive in some countries, which or some states even
Hmm.
that aren't in others. Colors, symbols, regional quirks, different tastes, especially if there's things that you know, touch, feel, etc., or
Hmm.
the way of working with your team. Maybe the other state they don't like that sort of way of working with the team. And then language and timing are the other 2 areas. How about from the marketing side? What do you reckon?
Well, it's a race to the top, right? There's going to be a very competitive market. So obviously, if when there's a big underserved population where it's uh, that you have your ride share companies, but you have paid workers behind those, and that's uh, the highest cost of those companies.
Mm,
Obviously, there's a business model that says let's get in there and let's minimize, mitigate, or eliminate the human element, and then it's all profit, or that's a profit play. Um, there's more than one company looking at this, so they're going to spend a lot of money on the marketing side of
mhm,
things. You're just going to paper the market with investment and money to build. First of all, you're creating a category of autonomous driverless
mhm,
vehicles, just like EVs. Like, we all had to get used to the concept of EVs, and maybe we'll, eventually, a novelty, and then we're building toward a mandate in some areas, but a consumer preference. Like, oh, well, I want the efficiency, I want the environmental impact, I like all the things. So you have to spend a lot of money as competitors, to build a category, to build something that people will say, okay, this is viable. We agree that this can exist in the market, and some of us will test it, right?
mhm.
And then you have to build preference for your company and say, okay, what we do is better than the competitors, but consider it, for a good while. You're all in this together to prove out the viability of the category. People reject the concept by and large of autonomous driverless vehicles, but it's going to go away like failed experiment. So you gotta, from a marketing standpoint, pool your resources, create some type of advertising board or consortium, or external stakeholders to come in and say, yes, what these companies as a whole are doing are good for everybody, and they're creating this good category. So
And yeah,
prove the category, then prove your company. That's the marketing play here.
and
Yeah.
testing it out, like making sure even the location, right? Not only okay, from the old school sense where it is like the physical location. Now we're thinking about like, okay, where is this appearing? What is most relevant for that particular location?
Yeah.
Maybe the billboards aren't a thing in that city. Everybody's too busy like in the office. It depends on what that looks like.
That's true. Yeah, localization. You don't want to come in and seem oppressive, like we're taking jobs away from ride shares, and we're taking
Oof.
jobs away from taxis, and we're taking jobs away from your commuter options. You want to come in as a community partner and say we found a nice, underrepresented opportunity within this market. We're here to fill this specific need. Um, you're going to thank us for it, and then you learn how to play like a citizen, as opposed to being oppressive and saying we're here. Underlying message, no one would ever say it out loud, but we're going to squash we're going to squash jobs and take away the gig economy that people, you can say what you want about it, but it's created uh, income streams for a lot of people. And all of a sudden, if companies that are doing very fine, thank you very much elsewhere, come in with a new profit center and say, we're going to take money out of your economy, that's not going to work so well. So what are the positives? What jobs does it create? Are they building local plants and factories to support the infrastructure? Are they, working in tandem and partnership with rideshare companies and taxi services? Like, how do you find the right balance to say, we're here with good intentions, and here's how this ecosystem works now?
And a quick one as well, like another way to think about this is, instead of doing it like the Spanish when they were kind of like the word is like,
are you saying conquistadors?
colonizing.
Okay. Yeah.
That is not the word. When they were, expanding across the world, we'll go with that.
Sure.
When they were expanding, they were just taking over and implementing their thing by force.
Yes.
Right. And so they were quickly, like forced back in a lot of those locations, versus the English, when they expanded, they employed locals. They like saw and formed what was going on, what was the sentiment with that in those areas. And that's why they stayed and still have quite a lot of those regions as well. So it is a different way of thinking about this.
I don't know if
but
anyone
it
has
will
the
work.
perfect track record there with the expansion, but
The idea.
the idea, yeah. But we're pulling for these companies. We want to see driverless cars, and we'll get in them and test them out for ourselves. Let's give it a fair shake, and hopefully they do a lot of good for everybody.
I'm down. Let's go.
Let's do this. So that's going to wrap up episode 10. I hope you have enjoyed this run of episodes, and please let us know in the comments. And maybe we'll see you again.
Absolutely. Have a bad fun.
Wait, plug your podcast and I'll plug mine.
Oh, yes. So good one. Jump over to the Art of Positioning podcast. We are now in season 3 and have just recently dropped a episode on a business owner's journey to 10 million. So
Ooh, like it. We on my show and my panel, we are called We Fixed It, You're Welcome. Beatrice has been on my show. We solve big, impossible, tough business challenges from big companies that haven't asked us to solve their problems, but we do it anyway. So something that is happening in real time, like a case study, but no one knows the answer. We'll figure out the answer. We're going to fix the company, solve all their problems, and give it right back to them. We are wrapping up season 3 before the holidays. Great episodes left to go. We're talking about robotics next Tuesday, so join us for that. Yeah, it's going to be a good one. And that's what we're up to. We Fixed It, You're Welcome.
Hell yeah. Plug into that as well. And if you do want to see us continuing with the series, drop that in the comments as well.
All right, Beatrice, I got to run.
Catch ya.
See you later.